Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carolyn Talks Television. I'm Carolyn Topel, and I am here with a whole wonderful cadre of folks, starting at my far left with my fabulous co-host, Rachel Arnett.
Hello, hello.
And a new guest who we've never had on our show.
That's true.
Gail Mackey.
That's right.
Welcome.
Hello.
And then a familiar face to everybody who's on West Hartford Community Interactive TV. We have Bobby P., who does a lot with wine usually. Unfortunately, today, we're not drinking.
No wine, just movie time.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking just whining, but maybe later. I don't know.
That's good too.
If some whining happens, we'll let you know, and then we'll have our drinks afterwards to make up for it.
There you go.
Now, the reason we have two special guests today is we have a very interesting topic we wanted to discuss with everybody and sort of share with all of you, and we want to hear your reactions. It's the idea of seeing your movies in a theater, like the one in West Hartford Center, Cinepolis, or seeing your movies at home. Now that we all have widescreen TVs, or most of us do, or many of us.
Lots of smart TVs.
A lot of the smart TVs
Netflix,
and all those
Hulu,
wonderful
Video.
streaming services. Because, oh boy, can you see it all, and you don't have to leave home.
And relatively quickly, too. Sometimes the turnover now. I remember the old sign that used to be at Blockbusters, coming next month, coming soon. Now Blockbusters is gone, and Netflix is telling me that a movie that just came out 2 weeks ago is going to be on Netflix in a month.
Oh,
They're
well,
like early bidding.
not to mention that we just had the Oscars. For us, as we know, it's only a little bit in the rearview mirror, but it's still only a little in the rearview mirror at this point, even in March, that the Oscars basically just happened. And before the Oscars came out, you could see most of the Oscar best films on streaming. You may have had to pay a little bit, but certainly not what you would pay going to the theater to see them.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get some other reactions other than just Rachel's and mine. So I'm going to start first. Let's do Bobby first, because I know, Bob, you had some...
Oh yes, I've had some festering anger to this whole concept for some time. Sort of as an audiophile, videophile, and I think you've been to my house, so I like a nice home theater experience.
That's right.
The problem that I've had is going to the movies for me has become offensive to me because I'm inundated with ads. And going to a movie theater, paying for the ticket, it used to be you go there, you'd watch some blips on the screen, you could talk to your friends a little bit before the start of the movie, but now you are inundated with commercials. That's offensive to me, number one. Even though people would say, well, just get to the movie later. No, I don't want to get to the movie later.
Because then you don't get the right seats.
And it is so
That's right.
loud, you can't even talk sometimes before the movie starts. So I sort of, for the last several years, have waited for movies to come and watched them on the big screen. And at my theater at home, and I think I get a better experience. I could concentrate more and not be distracted by either other moviegoers.
Right.
So that's where I stand on the whole waiting for a movie or going to see it. I prefer to wait till it comes.
You really do prefer to wait till it
do.
comes.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember it used to be, there was this transition period where you would, like when I was little, you would just go to the trailers, like right at the movie time, you'd start with the trailers. But now there's, like you're saying, like there's like 15 to 30 minutes of car commercials and Pepsi
Yes.
or Coca-Cola
And
commercials.
even the trailers go
And
on
the
too.
trailers.
And the trailers, they've added 2 or 3 more now. They don't always align with the audience of the movie, which makes me...
They used to, though, depending on
They
the movie.
used to,
Not
yeah.
anymore.
They actually say that they do, but then we've been
yeah.
to the movies a couple of times, and we know, look, as you all know, I'm a big Disney fan. So when you go to see Toy Story 4, I don't want to see something with violence in a trailer first. And I'm sitting.
No Fast and Furious 5. I shouldn't be anything like that.
Yeah.
Or even if it's not, like the Avengers, Endgame, or whatever they were showing then. But that's creepy
There's a line.
to the
Yeah.
population going to see Toy Story 4. That's just not their same movie. I don't see the audience as being the same. It could overlap, but you don't know that. You don't know that. Gail.
Well, I think a lot of the movies the remakes are geared a little more towards adults, and I mean a little more. But I think the trailers and the coming attractions, the commercials, I think they're much more random. I don't think they have anything to do with your target audience, and I like the movie experience. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
I still have not gone the extreme of lying back and eating dinner at the movies.
Which
'Cause
I
I don't-
seen- there are
I
a
don't
couple of theaters
understand
in
that.
Connecticut where you can.
This one in West Hartford,
Right.
you can do
Oh,
that.
I
right.
realized that.
Yeah.
Oh, you push a button, and there's a button that says service, by the way, and they come and they they practically crawl on the floor so they don't get anybody's way.
Yeah.
And they serve you, and you're like, and they have menus. You sit down, and there's a menu on your table. Your seat not only reclines enough that I would be asleep in 10 minutes.
That's
if I
right.
would
my
not-
problem.
It's like business class. You just.
Oh, and then some. It's like business class on an international flight.
Oh.
But I
Hello.
think the
Keep it
ironic
alive.
thing that we're talking about here, we're talking about this as adults here, but I think we have to remember, I think the movie experience itself, we're talking about going to the movies or staying home, but I think a lot of the younger people, they don't really need to go to the movies because
Yeah.
they don't care whether they watch
Yeah.
their movie on a big screen,
Yeah,
a
no.
small screen, or a tablet.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
I think as the generations or as time goes on, I think you're going to see more of that because you can put headphones on, watch your movie right with your iPhone or a smart tablet or whatever you have, and for them it's fine. They don't really care about the movie experience.
I don't think
per se.
it's as much of a movie experience for younger people.
No.
I think like 18 and under, they don't care.
Yeah.
I'm
They'll watch
torn
it on their phones.
I'm torn a little bit on that just because of Zach being 6. Like I took him to see Sonic this past weekend, and for him, when he's at the house, I mean, we'll watch TV at the house not all day. Wait, I'm a great parent.
A lot of times.
Often. Maybe 30 minutes a day, no more than that.
Right.
4 hours on a snow day. But anyway,
Weekend.
he likes going to the movies, and it's good for him from a social perspective. You
Right.
can get
Sure.
big groups. But I think you're right that by the time they hit like 10, 11, 12, as long as they see the movie, it's not really about the experience.
Yeah.
And
That's what's changed.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Seinfeld, stuff like that was an experience. You talk to people at the water cooler. Going to the movies was similar to that. You go to a movie, you talk to your friends about it, or you get together as groups to go see a movie. People
That's
don't, I
right.
mean, they do that now, but it's not wow, we got to go see this movie and talk about it.
Because
It's
that was the only way that they were able to see something.
Yeah.
Now it's available.
And
I also wonder if it's the length of time that movies are in a cinema at this point. I still remember, and yes, I do still remember being in my late teens. It was in the last century, but not 2 centuries ago. But I still remember going to a movie more than once, and it wasn't like I went in the same week or within 2
Oh,
weeks of
absolutely.
it. You would go to a movie 2 or 3 times if it was a
That's
movie that you
true.
loved, and you'd go on a date. Then
Right.
you'd go
when
with your friends.
When Titanic came out, there were girls in my grade, in 8th grade, who had seen it like 7 times in theater over the span of like a month. They would go
Yikes.
by themselves. Leonardo DiCaprio was a big thing
Yes,
back then.
I understand.
Okay, so for me it was Grease and John Travolta, so
Yeah,
I
so-
can understand that. And I saw it with different people over like a 4-month period of time.
Yeah.
And this
Absolutely.
was after HBO was out, so I'm not talking about something totally obscure.
Well, the prices have gone up substantially, obviously, even since Titanic. I can't believe
Absolutely.
that's 23 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And even before that,
Yeah.
what really, to me, hurt the movies is the discount theaters. When movies would stop playing
The
at the
second
first
run
run,
theaters,
and then
yep.
you can go see it second run for cheaper amount of money, I think that brought more people into the movie theater. But I think discount theaters went the way of the dinosaurs maybe 20 years ago, right?
Yeah. There's only one that I've ever seen, and that's down in Fort Lauderdale. But even that one is starting to show some first run. Because I remember when we went, we were one of maybe like 10 people in the theater.
They just can't pull in the money, I guess, because
Yeah.
the studios, all these regulations or restrictions that studios probably have in releasing their movies, they probably didn't want to do that anymore to probably second string movie theaters.
Well, now they release it on Netflix or they release it on a streaming service, and they get money per view, which
It's all
is
about the green.
That's right.
Follow the green.
It's more profitable to release it online sometimes than it would be to go to that second run theater.
And my understanding is if you DVR something, for example, if it shows up on one of your streaming services or on one of the extras like Showtime or HBO, if you DVR it, and I believe if you watch it within 3 days, they still get the rating.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
I
get
did not
the
know
rating.
that.
I think they do.
If you keep it on your queue, and I have some things on my
Yeah,
queue
yeah.
that I look back on that I was like, oh, I forgot that was there from 18
I'm
months
pretty
ago.
sure my dad still has La La Land.
I'm sure he
That's
does.
not a
That,
surprise.
I'm
then
sure
that
it
will
does.
not count when you watch it. But
Yeah.
if you actually just DVR something to watch a couple of days later, or so it's not on at 11 p.m., you want to watch it the next day at 6 p.m., they're going to still get their rating tick.
You know, I think that's what I forget sometimes is with the smart TVs and the DVRs, they know now what you're watching. All that stuff is probably tabulated back wherever all that
Yeah,
information
it goes
comes
into the
from.
Nielsen ratings. It goes into everything.
So it's not like they need a special service anymore with calling people randomly. Eventually,
That's right.
they'll know
No
exactly
Nielsen
what the
ratings
audience is.
anymore.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I did not know that, though. That's really interesting to me.
And actually, Nielsen still, though, does do their ratings.
Do they really?
Every once in a while, I'll get
Oh.
one. The one I get is more for radio, actually. I got one last year for radio.
That's okay. That makes sense.
I don't know. It's interesting though. There are definitely still movies that I have to see in theaters. There is something for me about certain types of movies that are just made for the grand scale.
Which ones?
And I have to point to the Avengers movies because they were brought up earlier. I'm a huge Marvel fan, and when I saw Endgame in theaters, it was a cultural event. It was like a fandom event. So I do think there are these exceptions where just the culture of whatever is being shown, like the Star Trek movies, those are gonna still be big hits. Any Spider-Man movie,
Right.
I'm gonna be in theaters. I just am. That's Spider-Man. And for me, when you see it sometimes on a smaller screen, even if it's right in front of my face, you don't get to see kind of the grandness.
Spectacle.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
spectacle of it.
I'm actually
Absolutely.
really surprised that comics books are so popular in the big screen now. I was never a big comic book guy, but it seems that's all that is people want to see now is comic books, Avengers and stuff.
Yeah.
What does that say culturally, Carolyn? Have you guys ever talked about that? Like,
We really
why are
should.
so many
There's
people
so many.
want to pretend to be a superhero?
Yeah.
I mean, where
I
are
can-
we
I can
going as a
write
society?
thesis.
Stan, if we could resurrect Stan Lee, I mean, my goodness,
Yeah.
he went from here to here,
To being in all of the movies.
and he was everything.
Had a cameo
You
in
know,
everyone.
he got a whole new life in the movies.
It's fascinating. It should be such a niche audience, and all of a sudden it's just
Yeah.
like exploded.
Well, I think I can't speak as much to DC. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge DC fan. It's another comic book universe and series of characters.
Another show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, Marvel, there's a lot of character and a lot of character-driven plot. So even though it is the spectacle of the warfare and the lasers and the amazing technology, what keeps me interested in it, and I think what keeps a lot of my generation into it, are these characters. And I think they've also done a really good job of being very intentional with the ones that they're putting forward. Black Panther, Captain Marvel, like these were all movies that were being clamored for.
The characters have evolved.
Absolutely.
They're
Oh, yeah.
not. They're really, really multidimensional, different races and different sexualities. And Dylan tells me this. I have a son who's into, that sort of. He goes to the movies by himself sometimes and goes to see it on the big screen. But I see that the characters are multidimensional. They used to be very, very one-dimensional. And they were nice.
Oh,
and,
yeah, I mean, you look at Adam West Batman versus even the new Batmans, and there's
yeah, but
division.
I read comics before, even
Yeah.
before Batman and Robin was on TV. I'm that old, just
We won't talk about
no.
it.
Okay, so let's see. Now you were talking about that the Avengers.
Yes.
You would have to see on the big
Yeah.
screen first, at least.
Yeah, after that, I'll absolutely watch it. But the detail and the spectacle of it all, it's they make it on this grand scale. I feel like I owe them to show me the way that they originally wanted it.
Look,
Okay,
it
so-
succeeds for you.
So Gail, is there something that you really feel that you have to see on the big screen versus in the living room?
I don't think I would have enjoyed Little Women on a small screen or a small screen. It was the whole experience, the costumes, the dialogue, the whole countryside was
Just the cinematography.
The cinematography was was wonderful, and I think it added to it. And I don't think I would have enjoyed it half as much as I did on the screen, on the big screen.
And I believe, didn't they win Best Costume, I believe?
Yes, I think they did.
Well, I'll make one exception, even though, like I said, I have a pretty nice home theater system. Movies like 1917.
Yeah. Yes.
The other one that Peter Jackson did, well, it's Peter Jackson, that one. There was another one that, no, 1970 is not Peter Jackson, but the other Peter Jackson movie that he did with recreating the colors and the sounds.
Oh, with World War One. I know what. Yeah. I know what
Those
you're
kind of
talking about.
movies,
Yeah.
even though I can enjoy it at home, I think that one was much more, because it's based on history, and just like you were saying, Gail, about historical pieces, you do sort of want the grandeur of a World War I battlefield, or the experience.
You want to
of the
see the
people.
details.
Yeah.
You
And even
wanna see
Downton
them.
Abbey, I enjoyed very much on the big screen. Even though I liked watching it at home, I enjoyed Downton Abbey because you're looking, like you said, the costumes, the scenery.
That's right.
And it is much grander when it's in a big IMAX type film.
And I do believe that the Downton Abbey movie was really designed. I mean, they were so brilliant in how they did that. They knew that they needed to do things to make it desirable to see it on a big screen.
Right.
And you know what? It worked. I know for me, the Star Wars movies.
Of course.
Yeah.
I have to see those on the big screen the first time I see them. Usually I have to see them the first week that they're out also.
Well, and that's the other thing is when it's something that is that like cultural moment, the last of the original 9 Star Wars movies.
The original
I know.
9.
And, well, so my prediction is that universe is going to keep expanding. That's another show, but
That
I
would be
think
wonderful.
that's the end cap of those that series of 9.
I have no idea what you mean. I watched The Mandalorian. I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah, no, they're just going to keep going. See,
You
I
really
mean,
think,
Marvel's.
I personally, even though I'm
Yeah.
a big sci-fi guy myself, I think Star Wars, similar to Star Trek, might be getting tiring for some people. Like,
Well,
I
that's
think
why
it
she says
definitely-
it's going
I think
to expand.
unfortunately, as much as I love Disney as an organization, sometimes they overdo the sequels and the threequels and the fourquels and the sevenquels
Prequels, and
the
right, yeah.
And so I think Rogue One was a fantastic addition to the universe, but I think that if they're going to do it, they have to do it the right way, which is what they're doing now with The Mandalorian.
On
where
Disney
it's-
Plus,
yeah,
which is
where
only
it
streaming.
doesn't-
You're not going to see that
yeah.
in a theater.
Exactly. And it doesn't impact your understanding of the overall universe. It's like these little breakaway stories that are relevant for some backstory, but not affecting the major pulse of the story, if that makes sense.
And one thing I do think is if you're going to do a sequel, it's got to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
A sequel,
just be a continuation, yeah.
A sequel that is less, for whatever reason, is less, is never going to fly and will be out of the theater in a minute and
it's
a
very
half.
difficult. People are very fickle, and if they don't like
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it'll bomb very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Very quickly.
Sometimes even before a movie gets to theaters, like with the Sonic movie.
And I'm not quite sure where prequels come in. I mean, I understand their purpose to a point. They're explaining some of the things that come along in the fourth, whatever it is, but if you make them too good, it makes the original ones pale a little bit, and you want to love some of the original ones.
That's interesting. One of the things that I thought was fascinating was the rules now and the attitude towards the rules
Oh, like the theater
that
rules
allows
of-
you to get a movie considered for Oscar, Golden
Oh,
Globes,
yeah.
whatever, yet it is streaming within I believe it's like 3 weeks or something. It's a really short time frame. I don't even believe it's a month. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But I remember hearing how short it was because I knew I could see Marriage Story on Netflix. I could see The Irishman on Netflix. And all of these amazing features on Netflix just right after they were in the theater. I don't even remember knowing they were in the theater before I knew they were on my Netflix.
Well, some of them were Netflix movies, like Marriage Story, I believe.
Marriage Story is
was
produced
a
by
Netflix movie. I don't know if that was even in theaters.
I
or
actually,
if it was
maybe because
just released. I don't
The
know.
Irishman was in theaters before it was on.
Yes. I'm not sure.
I think they had to be in theaters, but they didn't have to be widespread.
Widespread.
Yeah,
That makes
sometimes they'll
sense,
do like
yeah.
It
limited
could have been
releases.
like
have-
in
yes,
a
they have to have a
select
limited
audience.
release, certain-
New
yeah.
York, Chicago, LA, boom, and you're done.
Yeah. One theater, 1 week, go.
Yeah, you don't wait to go to the movies anymore. You have to see it or it's gone.
That's the other thing about the movies. And the other thing is the expense, the combination of the expense and the time you have to like set aside, because it's almost like a timer is ticking down. A movie is released and you better get that 3-hour window set,
Yeah.
because otherwise if you blink too long, if you go on vacation, if you happen to be on vacation, your movie's out of the theater
That's right.
by the time you're back. And I think that helps the idea of the streaming.
Right.
Oh,
And the
absolutely. Yeah, it's there
willingness
for
for
you.
streaming to be
People aren't as fast. They don't feel the
happen.
need to go to the theaters because we'll watch it on TV.
Yeah, they don't feel the need to go, but people still expect instant gratification, which means they want to be able to
It's
stream it.
worse. That's right.
So it's both negative and positive, because in the old days, there was sort of a little anticipation waiting for something to come out. You had to wait for it. You had to wait in line.
There was
That's
a lot
sort
of
of-
anticipation.
People don't
That's-
wait.
Nobody wants to
Nobody
wait for
wants to
anything
wait.
anymore.
And now, okay, my next question. You have these amazing movies that we've seen and that were in the theaters, even if they were in the theaters for a short time. Harriet, Jojo Rabbit, Parasite, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, all these amazing films, which is, by the way, one that I did insist on seeing
Yep.
in the theater. I had to see it because I understood that the direction was incredible. And I was glad I did, because they actually used, the director used a very interesting idea. When you were sort of in Mr. Rogers' neighborhoody kind of an atmosphere, the screen shrunk a little bit. Literally, the big screen narrowed.
Oh.
And when you went to real life as it was happening and the dramas of reality,
Expanded.
and the not so pleasant side of life, it expanded.
I like tricks like that.
It was a
interesting.
fascinating thing, and I mean, it wasn't like it was hard to notice after the first two times. Because the first time I did, I thought, "Oh, something's wrong with the movie," and then the second and third time it happened, I said, "Oh, this is a directorial choice." But one of the things I want to know is what comfort. Where are you more comfortable now that we have these incredible, high quality super recliners with the get my serviceman here if I want to have a. I mean, I even had this.
Glass of
I
wine.
wanted to get a cup of water just entering the theater. You used to ask for the cup at concession, and you go from the concession to the water fountain. You bring your cup in, and they said, "Oh no. Which theater are you going to?" And
no.
I told them. He said, "I'll be in with it in a moment." So I go sit down in my select seats, because now you also don't have just open seating. You pick your seats. And the waiter came in and brought my husband and I little cute plastic cups of water for our cute little tables and their cup holders.
Well, I guess for what they're charging now, maybe you should expect actually.
It's interesting because I've seen theaters go one of two ways, where it's either this super premium experience that's like a $15 plus ticket,
Yeah.
or they're going much more low key.
But you still can get the discount tickets if you
can
come
s-
different
oh,
times
yeah,
of day,
absolutely.
even in the fancy
Yeah.
luxury theater.
But in the like lower key theaters, or at least the ones around me, I can't say it for all of them, it's
Well, it was the usual
prices
cushion
are
seat.
lower, but they're also not then bringing in enough money to repair things. There's kind of
Well, it's still the concessions that theaters rely on to make
oh,
most of their
absolutely,
money.
yeah.
So,
Almost all the ticket money goes
I
straight
mean,
to the
it's a
companies.
tough call, but seats are more comfortable. I'm not going to take that away from them. But in the same factor is, do you want to pay the extra for the comfortable seats, or do you want to pay the extra to get better food? It depends on what your experience wants to be when you go to a
Yeah.
movie, what you want it to be.
Now, when I go to those theaters, truth be told, I don't eat. I actually don't like to eat when I go to the movie theater anyway. I never did, because I found it distracted me.
Even popcorn?
I would eat some before.
You got to eat it during the trailers, so that
That's right.
It's gone.
See, I
it
like
usually
having-
is.
it's gone before
That's
the
part of
trailers.
the movie experience for me is buying a popcorn. I bring my own water bottle, but buying a popcorn and sitting there.
And see, for me, once I'm in the movie, because I want to get into the movie completely, I don't want to be eating. I really want to be into the movie.
I see that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, though, in the past, sometimes the volume, if it wasn't loud enough, all the eating would be distracting.
Yeah.
That's not a problem anymore because
Oh
it's
my
so
God.
Very
loud.
loud.
It doesn't matter what anybody's talking about. It's literally right next to you.
I feel like they've raised the volume because they know
Purposely,
people are
yeah.
going to be
I
rude,
think you're
so they
right.
might as well drown the
Yeah.
I think the advent of Dolby Sound really was a good one in some
And
ways.
I think people on their phones,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is a
well,
big
that's-
no-no.
That's another one.
It's-
Well, and they do ask you, though, not to do
Yeah.
that. That's probably one of the few pre-movie moments that I appreciate is however they want to
Please
do it by
silence
getting
your-
across
yeah.
to silence the phones.
My favorite thing that happened in a movie in the last 2 years was they played that screen and someone was like, "Make me!" Oh! I just thought that was really clever and funny. I don't know, but they did actually turn off their phone. I just like, all right, that's the hill you're gonna stand on. Do you?
But I have to say, when I do go to the theater, I actually do enjoy the pampered feeling of the kind of chairs they have now. On the flip side, I try to go early. Try to go like on a weekend on a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
where it's half price.
Yep.
I think there are fewer people there too at that time.
Considerably
Absolutely, yeah.
fewer people.
So it makes it more pleasant for me. I'm not crazy about.
The sardine.
Yeah. Well, I think lots
Yeah.
of people make lots. Like even if you have lots of people making a little bit of noise, it's to me it's distracting.
There's always that social experiment
Not
where
the
you sit
popcorn, but-
somewhere in the middle. There's tons of space around, and the people come in and they still sit right
So
next to you.
yes,
It's
next to you.
fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Or they sit like the total opposite end of the
It's
No,
fascinating.
with me they sit in front of
I
me.
know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now
they're 6'8". They
Yes,
sit-
like this here.
I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to have my Roger Ebert moment right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go down to each of you. Thumbs up for theater, thumbs down for theater. Okay.
Are we
Take a
just
deep breath and
as
think.
a generalization?
Generalization.
Generalization.
Okay, so thumbs up if you want to go to the theater. Thumbs down if you want to stay home and make your home your theater. Okay, Bob, since you had a very strong
I did.
opinion,
I'm still going to go
let you-
thumbs down.
You
Thumbs
still
down.
want to be home.
I still want to be home. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I kind of more often than not, I want to be home.
Oh wow.
I like my home. I like I got my 50-inch TV. I'm good.
I don't go to the movies enough. No, I'm
Yeah.
home a lot. I don't
Yeah.
go to the movies enough, but I like the movie experience.
Okay, thumbs up. And Rachel.
And just for the Disney and Marvel universe, I
We have a
do-
tie.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have a tie.
Okay, and this is one of the most friendly groups in the world.
know.
We end in a tie.
Yeah.
Everybody all happily ever after.
But it depends on the movie and whether it's
Yes.
an intimate
So,
or grand
whether you
experience.
enjoy your movies at home
right.
or enjoy your movies in the theater, make sure you see them somewhere and keep coming back and seeing us too. For Carolyn Talks Television, and thank you to my guests, Bobby
welcome.
P.
Thank
and
you.
Gail Mackey. Rachel and I say bye-bye. See you next month.